Good evening. I'm going to speak a little bit about the Lang Garage project. You should have the project information package in front of you. I'm going to go through basically in brief all of these sections of this package. So we'll start with the executive summary. The Lang Garage project is driven because currently the residence has no garage. They park the family cars in the driveway, and it's been described as an obstruction for the kids playing who want to ride their bikes and such in the driveway. Also, because the cars are out in the weather, provides an opportunity for damage and things, and also there's an inconvenience in the wintertime with scraping and clearing the snow around the vehicles, around the vehicle windshields. So that's the main driver for the garage project, but additionally it's to be a 3-car garage, and 2 of the bays will be devoted to the 2 family cars. The 3rd will be storage. There's a shed right now that's being used to store the bicycles, the toys, and lawnmower, snowblower, things like that. So that shed is deteriorating. They want to remove the shed in some future project, and the space that will be provided with the garage should allow that. The garage package is it has some risks associated with it. We're going to get into that a little bit more in detail later, but mainly there's weather and budget. Weather because we plan to start the project in January, of course, as the winter months, and budget because the Langs have expressed that they've set aside a set amount of money for this project, and they would really like to come in at or under budget. It may cause some delays or some problems if they have to seek additional funding. So with that, they have expressed the interest in perhaps pushing the project finish date out if it's necessary in order to save some funding so that they can meet budget again. Beyond that, the timing, as far as the start date, it's been expressed that it's a good time to start because the Langs have the money presently, and they're a bit worried that should the project be delayed too long, they may decide to reallocate the funds towards family vacation or redoing the kitchen, something like that. So again, it's a good time to start. And in addition, thinking about construction costs, if we start in the wintertime, things tend to be a little slower in construction, so oftentimes we can save a little bit of money there. So moving on to the next section, the scope of work. Generally, it's going to be a 1-story garage project, and it's to be completed by February 26, 2018, and the cost of the project shall not exceed $42,000. Moving on to the project objectives on page 3, there are 6 major objectives. The first one spoke about a little bit earlier is provide adequate storage for equipment and toys, provide parking for both family vehicles, integrate with the existing concrete driveway. They don't want to have to add concrete to the driveway, so they would like it to sort of integrate with what's there. They'd like it to be aesthetically compatible with the house. They would like to provide a favorable environment for automobile repair work. As Mr. Lang has expressed, he likes to work on his own cars, and doing so outside in the weather is often a burden. And then finally, to increase the overall value of the property. So moving on to page number 4, the work breakdown structure. There are 8 sections, or 8 sub-deliverables. The first and last are the kickoff and closeout meetings. So those aside, the remaining 6 areas have been broken down into the footing and foundation, framing, dry-in, concrete floor, garage doors, and electrical. General contractor will be handling the footing and foundation, the framing, concrete floor in the garage, and the electrical. The dry-in portions, which are mainly applying the siding, applying the roofing, and windows and man doors, that'll be done by subcontractors, as well as the garage door installation. And so moving on from there, next is the responsibility matrix, which is on page 5. Basically, there are a number of tasks that need to be completed in order to keep the project moving along, and these responsibilities are going to be divided between Mr. and Mrs. Lang, and the general contractor. So that breakdown, or that matrix, gives you a breakdown of who's responsible for what tasks. The communication plan, which is next, is on page 6. There are generally 3 parties that are going to be communicating with each other. We have the general contractor, the subcontractor, and the Langs. And so the communication plan breaks down how the communication will take place in between those parties. 7 and 8, the resource requirements and time phase budget. You're going to have to look at those in the project information package. I don't have a very good way to show those right here, but basically you'll see a Gantt chart and resource allocation and the time phase budget associated with it. Page 9, you'll find the proposed project schedule, which shows project milestones which correspond to the sub-deliverables and the date that we intend to have those completed. You can look at the summary on that page as well. Next thing we have is the procurement plan on page 10. And you'll see there the plan for procuring materials, equipment, and then the subcontractors, how they will be brought into the project. Next we have the risk management plan. I spoke a little bit about that when I was going over the executive summary, but mainly there are 4 areas. Of course, spoke about the Langs exhausting their funding, spoke about the weather. 2 other risks are window and doors being delayed. They come from the factory, so sometimes that can be an issue. And then the potential for failing an inspection by the building code official or the authority having jurisdiction. And so you can review those on the in the risk management plan, in the risk assessment form, and the risk responsibility matrix. Next we have the quality management plan on page 12. This gives you a rundown of the various areas. There are 3 main areas that we're concerned with: aesthetics, functionality, and successfully passing the building code inspections. So the quality management plan, again, gives a rundown of how we'll be approaching that. The change management plan, which is on page 13, goes through how we'll handle changes, whether they're initiated by the owner, which is often a common thing as an owner sees the building start to come together. They may want to change or add some things or subtract. And then also there are often changes due to project conditions. So again, the change management plan runs through how we're going to manage those 2 situations. And then finally, there is the closeout checklist, which is just a list of things that we've found through our experience can get missed from time to time, and also it's a good thing to go through with the Langs when we're closing out the project. So that's a basic overview of the project information package and the project itself. Hope you enjoyed the presentation.